Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Harry. I'm the author of The Jesus Ring, Shadows, and Ramblings of an Old Poot. This is the covers of the Jesus Ring, Shadows, and Ramblings of an Old Poot. Now, today we'll be concentrating or talking about the Jesus Ring. Basically, the Jesus Ring is available at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, just about any place that sells books. If you care to, I'd like for you to go to my website. It's dan@danscribbling.com or danscribbling.com. And that's 2 S's and 2 B's. You'd be amazed how many people don't know how to spell scribbling. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, I'm just about there. The book that we're going to be talking about today is The Jesus Ring. This one here, somewhere. And this is basically featured at the Festival of Storytellers that I was invited to by Reader's Magnet, and I've enjoyed working with them so far on this. The book itself, The Jesus Ring, it is I guess you could call it a Christian fiction, because it does follow basically a fictional portrayal of the events leading to the apocalypse. It's been foretold, it's going to happen. Basically, the book's description is, an ancient ring, washes on the sand and shells of the Florida shoreline. And Peter Christian, who was a young American veteran, he's struggling with PTSD, finds the ring, and he slips it on his finger, and the ring adopts him. The ring chooses him. He isn't aware that the ring's last wearer was God's own son. Ring's purpose is to find the person chosen to champion the faithful into the future, if it has one. Basically, the ring will change him physically and give him the ability to communicate directly with God. And God has given the humans this last chance to come back to him. Otherwise, he's going to turn us over He'll abandon us and leave us for Satan and his minions. It's the book has got a lot of fantasy, a lot of science fiction in it, but basically it was written kind of to show so many people think God is only here on earth, but God is throughout the universe. He makes everything possible. Down to every little bitty atom he's in charge of. And the magnetism, that holds those atoms together are all his power. I mean, look at a person. He has formed everything so that basically your body stays together instead of the atoms just floating off somewhere. Anyway, like I said, the genres for the Jesus Ring, they fall under the Christian fiction, basically fantasy and science fiction. The audience for this book, basically anybody above 8 to 12. I don't use foul language in any of my books, even though I may use it in my everyday life, but I don't use it in my books. Somebody said one time about comedians, if you have to be crude, you ain't funny, you're just crude. So I want to show some of the pictures that we've, that we've made up over the time. And here's a book trailer that basically on Facebook and YouTube. Big words that I can't remember. Anyway, I don't know if you've seen this video before. So it's a short video, but it was one I made up and tried to make it as ominous as possible, because that's basically what the book is ominous as it can be. This is not a loving book. It's not it's not Left Behind or some of the other stuff about, how God loves you. And because Hi Elaine, anyway, it's going to be intense. The book itself was pretty much just a sudden thought. I haven't been writing long. I've only been writing about 2 years, and written 3 books. I've got 2 more books in the mill, and the original draft was about 118,000 words. And believe it or not, I completed that 118,000 word initial draft in about 3 weeks. And I don't know if it just flowed. It just flowed. It may have been Providence, but it just flowed. And I just started out with me being out fishing and marveling at the sunrise and thinking, enjoying nature and the wonders that God has given us. May very well come to an end once the apocalypse starts. It's going to be 5 to 7 years of rough living. That's what the Bible says anyway, duration. I love to write, and while I'm not what the churches would call a good Christian, I thoroughly enjoyed researching the events described in the Bible and what's happening in our world today. I changed it up some and actually had God Satan actually turns his harvesters loose on earth, and they can only eat the unfaithful. They can't touch the faithful. And if I had some pictures, I wanted to show you some of the things that we had started. This is a picture of basically of my 3 books that I've just published to date, and I hope you've seen them. Like I said, they're available in just about any store. If you Google them, they're on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I don't think 7-Eleven carries them yet. See what the next picture on this. This was my original cover design, and I kind of struggled between it and the cover I have designed now, which basically they're both good and evil, and there's a storm coming. And the next picture, I think we started off backwards, but this is what the cover ended up being. If you can see the good storm, the bad storm, and separated by God's power. I was kind of proud of that picture. Next picture was basically just an advertisement, but it's true. The apocalypse that was foretold isn't coming; it's here. And the next picture. This is a artist rendition of one of the harvesters, and basically it eats and swallows the unfaithful whole and takes it back to Tartarus, which is hell. And I've always had a thing about these guys that wear their pants down below their fanny. So I turned the harvester loose on one of them. Get the next picture. Hi, Cherise. This is the cover of a book that I should have coming out in the next couple of months. It's called The Red Tide, but the title will probably change simply because you know how many billions of red tides there are out there. So, like I said, the title may change, but I'm about 80% completed with the manuscript. And so, like I said, we hope to have it out by the end of the year, maybe the first of 2022. Next picture. This is my logo, and you'll see it on my website, basically on all my books. And it's Dan Scribbling. A question from Jane. Hello, Dan. What motivates you to write this kind of stories? This helps every individual reflect on how we are connecting to Jesus. You know, like I said, this kind of story, I've always been enthused by the book of Revelation and the similarity between the events leading to Armageddon and the current world events. And, you know, I've heard, not just me, but I've heard a lot of other people mention about, you know, this is one of the events that's leading up to, you know, and what's told in the book of Revelation. You know, now we have a disease out there that seems like nobody can get rid of. You know, we've got a variant that comes out pretty often. You know, how the true believers will be sacrificed and chastised, because basically in China right now they're tearing down churches. I wrote this in my book 2 years ago, and now it's coming to fruition. Christians are being murdered in places like Africa. That was, you know, mentioned in in Revelation. The reason I wrote this book like this is that I would really prefer to see the Revelation, the Armageddon, to come to fruition like this. I perceive the final war of the end times to be waged, and just like it was foretold. But to me, Satan is no longer an angel of heaven with the ability to change from energy to matter. Satan was punished, but he still has the knowledge of the universe and uses it to bend, a space-time fabric to attack the humans that God loves so much. And in essence, God issued 10 laws for humankind to obey. If humankind would obey those laws, our earthly home would be a true paradise. But like I said, those are the 10 laws that God basically told us to obey. So if you can live by those 10 laws, and it'd be a great place. A message from Elaine: please share more about the harvesters. The harvesters are, okay, let me back up. In the book, or basically, it's not, I hope it's not a spoiler, but Satan is not corporeal. He's, he's basically matter and can't change away from it. And he owns a planet or a solar system that's in another galaxy, and his transporters basically carry them back and forth between Earth and his planet. The harvesters are basically what goes and gets their food stock. The humans are food stock. We'll end up in the belly of them if they get to you. I got tickled. One of my theories was that I've never been much of an evolutionist. The idea of coming from a dinosaur never impressed me much, because that's not what the Bible says happened. But so I figured, why would God have those huge monsters like that? And my idea was he didn't. Those were the food stocks for Satan until they got greedy and sucked the moon in and collided with the earth and wiped them all out. And then after the millennia it took for the plants and animals to grow back, God took it back over and put humans on there. So everybody can poo-poo that if they want to, but it's a thought, it's a theory. The harvesters are huge creatures. Like I said, if you look at their armored scales, so very little hurts them. And this is one of the ideas behind having these creatures being as big as they are and doing what they're supposed to be doing for Satan. Question from Sean: who designed the covers for the Jesus ring? Does it have a backstory? Actually, I designed the covers for the Jesus ring. I designed both of them. If I go to the picture of the first one with Peter and Satan facing off each other. Well, okay. Anyway, I don't think I answered Jane's question about how it helps each individual reflect on how we connect to Jesus. Me, I connect through Jesus and God through prayer. And, while I'm all for going to church and sharing my religion with, or sharing my beliefs with the people in church. To me, the best church is outside, and that's where I spend most of my time. We've got a question from a fairgoer. How long on average does it take you to write a book? The Jesus Ring took me 3 weeks. Like I said, but it flowed. It may have been providence that was guiding me, shadows. I mean, some authors, it takes them years. I started Red Tide actually back before COVID started, and was basically delayed getting it finished by the COVID and running my other businesses. So Ramblings of an Old Poot is a collection of short stories that they're true, and I hope they're humorous. They are to me. And but it's about kind of, getting a life lesson when you're not expecting it. Give you, for instance, I rodeoed, chewed tobacco, and dipped snuff at the same time. Well, I got broke a rodeoing, chewing tobacco, and dipping snuff all in one night. And read the story and you'll find it. But, it's got a lot of good, short, clean stories in them. But on average, how long does it take you to write a book? Who knows? What's the story behind the second cover is on the Jesus Ring. Basically, I took a vote between with my friends and followers on Facebook to see which one that they actually liked best, and actually the idea between the storms was prompted by this vote between who liked the which picture, and some liked it, some didn't. So I went with the one that it has now. But like I said, that's what it was prompted by. It was actually a good storm, but there's a storm coming. There's the good storm and there's a bad storm, and it's separated by God's power, and hence, the powerful beam coming from the ring itself on the cover. Let's see, where am I? Elaine wanted to know more about the harvesters, and I don't want to make any spoilers. There's one of my fans, Miss Crystal. Hi, Crystal. And Crystal, I know has read all 3 of my books and has given reviews on all 3 of them. And the reviews are important from for an author, even an independent author. But if you put your reviews, if you get it from Amazon, write a good review, or write a review, good, bad, or indifferent. Write a review. It's the author basically. This is what he gauges his work by. So if the book stinks, tell him it stinks. If the good book's good, if it's mediocre, like I said, good, bad, or indifferent, leave a review. Authors need that. What was the question? What was the most difficult part in writing these books? Actually was having the time to sit down and write them, because I don't sleep I don't do anything but sleep between midnight and 5 in the morning. So that's what I would do most of my work. But, once you get an idea, and I would advocate everybody, if you've got a funny story, if you've got a sad story, a short story, start out with short stories, write it down. Your children, your parents, your grandparents, your friends, they may like reading about what some of the happenings in your life. And basically, that's what the ramblings of the old Poot. I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the books, but even even if you've got a Christian book you want to write, or a Christian story you want to write about how how you found God, because God already knew you was there, but write it down. And there's all kinds of ways. If you think it's good enough to publish, or even if you don't think it's good enough to publish, there is ways to get it published. And but my main deal is just to write it down. I've got another bunch of short stories that I'll add. It'd be called Ramblings of an Old Poot 2, Still Pooting, Rambling. And it'll be out probably first part of next year. Like I said, right now we're kind of focusing on the Jesus Ring. Bear with me. Do you have a favorite chapter on any of your books? From Shine. Yeah. Probably the last two chapters of the Jesus Ring are probably the best, because that's when we're going to know if we're going to make it or not. Because nobody would like to even consider God washing his hands of humankind. Because if you think life's tough now, you wait for God to wash his hands of us. And I guarantee you it's going to be worse. Some people say, what was the impact of writing the Jesus Ring to you and your loved ones? And basically, I haven't realized the true impact at all. The book sales are one thing, but and the reviews, I really enjoyed seeing them. But as far as an impact, I haven't really seen one. I do more writing now, and I take my writing more seriously now. And the quality of the stories, character development, those kind of things, they come along with you. Shadows, it was basically, it's about a real Southeastern American Indian myth. And I happened to be reading a story one time about a critter called Atipa Tacoba. And it's the name that Comanche, the Kashada, all of the Indian tribes, the Alabama, that were in the Southeast U.S., between Louisiana and Texas, every one of them at one time or another traveled through the area. And it takes place up around Livingston, Texas. And the name Atipa Tacoba actually translates to man-eater. And you've never heard of a critter like this. And so if you get in, I hope you enjoy it. Do I have any tips for aspiring writers? Yes, write it. Write it. Read it 100 times. And then have somebody else read it. There's get another writer to read it. But if you want to write a story, write it down. Don't try to start off with a 150,000 word novel. Write short stories first, and you can start developing your craft that way. And I've had more people tell me, don't let your family and friends read your work, because they won't be tough enough on you. They don't know my family and friends. My family and friends were probably the hardest critics in the world, but I learned from it. If I can please them, I can please a lot of people. Some people you can't please at all, but I've got, I think, one-star review on Amazon, and that was a lady that didn't like the idea. She quit reading it after the book said that the rapture wasn't going to happen. Well, I'm sorry, but it's my book. It's I'm afraid actually that we're all going to have to live this one all out together. if we live it out. So, like I said, my tips for aspiring writer is write it down. Just write and see what comes out. And don't pressure yourself about how many words you get a day, how many chapters you get a day. You know, oh, I want to release this by such and such date. Write the story and get it to the point where you like it, and then let your other people read it. I mean, it's not going to be an overnight deal. It's this instant gratification is a wonderful thing, but it just doesn't happen in books. So write it down. Even if you've got stories from your childhood that you want to share with your kids, your grandkids, stuff like that in the future, write it down, because stories have changed, stories are forgotten. When I was a kid, I used to love to listen to my mom and dad, my grandparents, and about the stories of when they were coming up. You know, my grandfather was born in the late 1800s, and some of the things that he saw were phenomenal. You know, so much different than what there was no cell phones back then. There wasn't even phones. There wasn't even automobiles. But like I said, some of his stories were, and I truly wish that I could have gotten them to write them down. So do that. Have I got any more questions up there? Let's run back through the Miss Elaine, you should start writing. Like I said, with the stuff today that you can get online, you know, you can basically, Microsoft Word will do a lot of your editing for you. I even tried to write the shadows in my West Texas accent, and it works out. And I know I've got an accent, but I was born and raised out I was born in San Angelo, Texas, and I was raised in Odessa, in the oil fields out there, and graduated from the great Permian High School. And then I went into the service. And when I got out of the service, I came back to Odessa, and I left there, I guess, about 85. So, even though I've been all over the world, that old West Texas sand is still stuck in my craw. Well, I think that's about all the time I have this time, and I really, really appreciate, you know, all your questions, and I hope I answered your questions for you. You know, I'm not the sharpest blade in the drawer sometimes. Anyway, I'll have another podcast Sunday at between 3 and 3:30 in the afternoon. And with that, y'all have a wonderful weekend, and God bless you.